You able to hear me, Brandon? Thumbs up or give me a sign here. I want to make sure that it's going. Excellent. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. How's it been, man? I'm hoping Al can hear me too. He's Al is over on the he's on the Zoom meeting, so he can see my face. On the live. Oh, there's Deb too, I think. Nice.
About now.
I can hear you now, Al. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Good to hear you. Good to hear you. So I guess I'm gonna get rolling then, just kind of an intro, and then I'm gonna be carving. And if you guys are carving, we can all carve together. I guess that was kind of my hope. I guess, or if there's any questions, comments, or anything like that as we go through. So I did bring a little bit of show and tell just so that people could kind of see. We started last week. We started with just a blank. This was the wooden blank I had, and last week we got it to looking like this. I had the basic shape cut out. I had cut out the mouth. Um, I'm going to reestablish that center line down the back, and I had carved out using this gouge. I had carved out a little space for the gills, where the gills would be. So I was just going to continue carving on this today. But I did bring a couple different ones. This right here is this is a kind of a classic Cadillac style decoy. This is what it would look like, obviously, before all the stuff got on it. As you're going through this process, you're going to want to kind of decide if you want your stuff to go clockwise or counterclockwise. I've started making, I think most of mine are going counterclockwise. I prefer that they go around this way versus this way. So a lot of times that's what I'm going to be doing. This is one of my older ones. This is the 25th one I ever did, right here. This one actually was a little bit different. It had pins for eyes. So there's push pins in here that created the eyes. Whereas something like this was the 67th one I had done. And this was actually first in the world's competition last year for perch. So you can kind of see, I mean, there's a little bit of difference. I'm trying to change my style or create my own style. This one, the perch had glass eyes. So the eyes on this one are just a little bit different than this. And I wanted to make sure that you understand that sizes, you can have all different kinds of sizes. Here's a little tiny one I made, this cute little guy. This was 75th one I made. But you can make all different kinds of these decoys. And they all do the same kind of thing where they're trying to bring that pike in. This one right here, I also wanted to kind of show a little bit more detail. This is a barracuda that I've been working on. I've got all the scaling done. That's all wood burn, and I'll be talking about that in one of my videos that I'm going to be doing. And some of the other techniques, like how to put some teeth in. These are toothpicks for the teeth, and I actually put those in by drilling holes in the top and pushing them through and then super gluing them in. But there's a lot of different ways of doing things, and obviously what I'm doing, none of it, are things that you have to do. You can come up with your own thing. I like going out and searching for people that do know what they're doing and getting help from them. So it's only right that we all have that opportunity to do that. But I'm going to continue carving on this. If any of you went to my YouTube channel and actually looked at the video that I had there yesterday, that video that I had there yesterday, that was actually, and I'm going to change this so that we all are on the same, sorry, just give me a sec. We're all on the same, there we go. We're all in the same video. But once I get going in this, I'm just going to be basically carving. Yesterday, I went over carving utensils and how to take care of those. And you can visit, if you visit my YouTube channel, I do have some what are going to become kind of static videos with step-by-step processes and kind of how to get your feet wet in this entire process. And the mics are open. If you want to talk, if you want to type, Brandon, I see you there. If you have questions or comments or want to talk about something, that's fine too. I may not be as attentive to the typing portion of it, um, but if you ever want to come on with the on the Zoom meeting, that Zoom meeting will run for about 45 to 40 minutes into the live as we're working. I'm putting on my cutting glove because I'm going to start cutting. Those of you that are getting started in this, I highly suggest having some way to protect your hand. There's some people also, they'll have a leather thumb. If you go out and look around, you'll actually see some people carving and they have leather thumb that they're using. I've chosen so far not to use that. I'm sure that knowing as intelligent as I am, at some point, I'm probably going to cut my finger and you'll end up coming on here and you're going to be seeing me wearing a leather thumb. But I'm going to be using some different knives today. I've got my flex cut knives I talked about yesterday. I do have this gouge, explained how I'd use that. I do have my Hell, and that's spelled Helle 9. It's a Norwegian blade, a Norwegian company. And then I do have this Boker that I quite often will use as well to carve. It's a Congress, a Boker Congress. And I'm going to have some different blades to actually choose from. And I'll just be grabbing them probably at random as the moments come that I need to use them. I do have my strop over here if I need to sharpen or reestablish an edge on them. But I'm going to start carving on this. And there may not be a lot of talking today necessarily. I do hope some people would be talking to me. That's fine. It can almost be a chat time if we want, or questions, comments, things to do with pike spearing. If any of you have been out, I haven't been out for about a week. But right now, what I'm doing, I'm cutting in these gills just a little bit. So I've come in and where that gill ends, where that gill plate is going to end right down here, I've cut that in a little bit. I'm going to do the same on this other side. Rotate this around, put that in. I've got a good hold on this. I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to push that in. And it's going to cut in there a little bit. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to actually cut down along this edge. And that's going to give me some definition down here for the bottom of that gill. So I'm just going to start kind of carving away here and getting this down so that I'm starting to establish that head. And it's going to make it look like the gills are flared a little bit, which is kind of a nice technique. It's one of the things that Oscar Peterson did on a lot of his gills were kind of popping. I also know that Al Nelson with his, when he's doing his, he does enjoy it kind of popping out on that side as well. So I've got that established now. If I look at the bottom of this, you can see that I've got this underside, and I do have the kind of rounded over bottom part of this going. I'm going to cut this back out here. Just another little shave. You can tell this is pretty sharp because I'm getting some nice chips. The wood chips are kind of peeling off this well. I really have appreciated this this white pine that I've gotten. Also, I did reestablish this back line. So this is running down the basic middle. It just kind of keeps me aware of the fact that I don't want to, start doing this so it's lopsided. So the whole goal of having that center line is just to actually make sure that this thing is centered up. Especially once I get the weights in there, I'll be reestablishing that center line in the bottom too. But once I have it on the top, it should be fine. So I'm going to probably be quiet, hopefully, for a little bit here while I start shaving this down. There's going to come a point here too, I'm sure, and usually it's down around this area and over on this side, where you're going to see me have to come back and carve the other direction. And part of that is because of the way the actual grain of that wood is going to start going. And I think I mentioned it last week. As you're going, you're going to feel it. It's going to grab your blade, and it's going to feel like it's going to want to chunk out. And when that happens, you want to try to go the other direction. So right now, I'm just trying to match up my cuts. Those of you that are here this evening, I appreciate that. I appreciate you showing up for me. It's a thank you. You can see right now as I was cutting, I'm going to bring this up. You can see right here, I hit that point where I need to turn it or back around. So I'm going to bring this and I'm going to actually come back and I'm going to start carving back this direction. So if it doesn't go well this way, I can actually turn the entire thing around and it'll be an awkward hold, but I can hold back here on that tail and I can start to remove wood. Do not try this if you don't have one of these gloves on. This is a good way to sever this skin. Let's see what I got going on. I need to go this way here on this side. The wood starts to tell you what it wants done. I got interviewed today by TV 7 and 4 here in the Northland, Up North Live, um, about a project I did this summer, which was the old Indian Trail. We have an Indian Trail that runs from the shores of Lake Mitchell here in Cadillac to Grand Traverse Bay, north of here, about 45 miles or so. Uh, it's a beautiful path, but I had the opportunity to redo some of the markers to help to make sure that they're going to survive, another 50 years since the last time they were kind of taken care of, or excuse me, when they were put in. I'm kind of excited to see how that turned out today. Deb, are you carving this evening? Al?
She's sitting here watching.
Oh yeah, you carving or
No,
no?
she's reading.
Oh, gotcha. I hold it off every once in a while to kind of look at it to make sure that it's equal on the sides. Trying to get rid of some of this thickness in this tail back here. Go a little bit on one side, flip it over, and I do it on the other. This is trying to chunk out again, so I'm going to have to go to this side and come back this direction. Off to my left, you can see my lunch box that I've mentioned a couple times in the different videos I've been doing so far, that I take to work with me when I'm up at my cemetery job in the summers. It's got all my blades in it and my marble safety axe. That axe is probably at least I would guess 110 years old at this point, if not older. Hey Brandon, I wanted to say thank you for sharing those images of those fish you've been working on with me. Those are beautiful. How did they swim? Did they swim good? I'm tempted to show you a mistake to do on this that can happen on this. If you're going the wrong direction, carving on the tails, what'll happen is you'll actually kind of like I was popping out little chunks here. You can actually pop out a chunk on the end of the tail. You really got to be careful when you're dealing with this area of this of a decoy, because the tails are pretty fragile to begin with, and because of the way the grain will intercept the end of that tail, if you're going the wrong direction, it'll just chunk right out on you. Which, I mean, you can fix it. It's wood. Um, I A lot of problems that you can create for yourself with the wood, you should be able to fix them. Um, and if you're not quite sure how, I know I'm always available for you to reach out to if you're having a problem or you're wondering how you might fix something, and maybe I can come up with a solution for you. So you can see at the top of this, I'm starting to get that rounded over feature on the sides. Um, I'm going to be taking it this direction now. It wants to chunk out at this area right here just a little bit. Every time you carve, it's going to be different. It's all about the wood grain. It's not like set in stone what's going to happen with the wood. You got to kind of, there comes a point where I guess you're kind of almost talking to the wood, trying to ask it and figure out what it wants you to do. I just turned it around again. It was starting to try to chunk on me, so this way it's not, so I can get that down. I'm trying to I keep looking at this to make sure that I'm keeping it pretty even on that back side. I know the older generation that I've carved with, quite often they get it almost to like this point and they start using sanding belts, usually stretched on almost like a bow, and they'll start to round that back edge off. I found personally, I like taking it down and trying to get it almost at a kind of a V that goes to the top, or a triangular movement that's going to be more at this direction like that on the back. But it takes a bit to get it down there, but that's where I'm going to kind of go with this. I'm looking at this tail end too. You can see it's kind of bowed this way right now. I'm actually going to, as I carve this, I'm going to try to cup it just a little bit over on this side, and that should help it to swim more in that counterclockwise direction as we're pulling on it and it's going around at the bottom of our hole. So I'm going to take this down here on the side. Then I may start cutting away a little bit at that gill plate. Talk a little bit about how we get that going. I do know that some people will. I usually don't start with a block, so that's kind of on me. But you want to try to get those eyes lined up on the fish. It really helps to do that. And I do know there's people that will, when they're carving in a block, once they have the fish profile figured out, they'll figure out where they want the eye on that profile, and they'll drill straight through. And that way there's going to be a tiny hole that'll go all the way through the fish, and that's the center of the eye on both sides. So it just helps to kind of locate them. Mine, typically they are level. I quite often do that because I've got a set of calipers that I'll use to kind of set that up. I also have pretty good spatial relations from doing art for a little while, and also from when I was going into architecture and engineering. looking okay so far. A little bit off of here. And it's a matter of just kind of picking away at it. It comes slowly, but it starts to shape up. For these gills, I did that initial gouge with this tool right here, and it just was kind of to help line up where it is. I was almost turning it. You can see how this is a V. I was almost turning it so that it was kind of on its side, so that I was cutting more of an up and down cut down along this edge, but I was getting rid of some of this wood that was to the end of the fish. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to insert that tip just a little bit, and I'm using my thumb, downward pressure on my hand on the blade, and I'm using my thumb to kind of just nudge that along that edge. You got to watch when you get to the end of it, which was about right there. You can see I'm at that point where I had started to carve out the bottom of the gill. And I just wanted to get that cut going, because what's going to happen is I can start cutting to that cut and stuff will start chipping out, and I'll start getting that definition between the head and the actual body of the fish. So I'm going to do that on this other side now. Reestablish that line, I'm pushing it. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I didn't have to go all the way down because I've already got that nice edge that's going to be stopping my blade as I cut. And now I should be able to start just kind of cutting into that, and the stuff's going to kind of curl up to it, and then it should almost just flake right off. Yep, there it goes. So I start getting that definition for that actual gill plate. Flip it over here to show you what it kind of does on this side. You can see I'm using more of this edge than this long back portion of the blade. It's more of this toward the tip. I'm kind of pushing that forward, almost scooping it out. So there we go. I'm starting to establish that. And again, it's not going to be something where you're going to do one cut and it's done. You're sculpting wood right now is what you're doing. And you're carving. I was corrected. It's not whittling. I was corrected by one of the greats, Andrew Gardner. And that's okay. I would have to agree with him. There's a lot of skill that goes into this. And he is a master carver. He's unbelievable. I'm taking with these curled up pieces that I've got. There comes a point where they aren't quite where that cut was made by the point, but I can come back in here and using that tip again. If I kind of rest it up against that line that I've established, I can roll that forward just a little bit, and that thing should, yep, there it went, pops right off. So I'm just kind of I'm getting that wood from where it is to where I want it, which is not on this fish right at the moment. So looking at this, I got a little hump over on this side. I need to work that down. I'm looking down the back. I'm making sure things are kind of equaling up. This need a little more off this side. And it's about bouncing around on this thing, going back and forth from one side to the other, just to make sure that it's equal. Take so much wood off one side, take the same amount off the other. Because again, you don't want your fish, you don't want to float. That's number one. It's going to be a sinker. But you want it to swim flat and straight in the water. So it really helps to have that center line and kind of work down along that spine of the fish just to make sure that it's going to be equal. And again, the Zoom meeting that I have rolling right now, that Zoom meeting is going to be done at, it should be about 7:45, 7:40, somewhere around there. I'm not exactly sure when I started. I think I started just about exactly, so probably closer to 7:45. But just so that we understand, that is rolling right now, and it's actually still going to be live. I'm going to be carving until about 8 o'clock on here, but after it reaches 8 o'clock, I'll stop carving so that the fish is basically where left off, where people remember it from week to week. At least these ones that I'm working on here. Okay. The tail over on this side, I'm going to have to carve this direction. It's trying to chunk itself out this way. So the wood, again, telling me what it wants. So I'm going to do some digging around here. Looks like the rigs might have left. The rigs are just some outstanding people. They started the Great Lakes Decoy Association, and they do a wonderful job with that and for the carving community. So always impressed with what they're doing. Yeah, it's trying to chunk out. Sorry about this. I'm just going to click off. I was just warned. I got like a 10-minute warning for this. For my time on the Zoom meeting that I'm running concurrently with this. I'm grabbing one of these little blades. I'm trying to shave down the inside of this mouth, and I don't want to have to be fighting with such a big blade. So right now I'm just using a little bit smaller one, but same deal, just removing wood. Smoothing it out. Comes a point, it's almost like you're painting with a brush. Little tiny movements to get a lot of little tiny victories, and eventually the thing starts to look the way it's supposed to. So you can see my mouth is starting to get that drop back that it does. There will be another line that gets cut in this up above the lip to give it its kind of upper lip. Oscar Peterson would, it was quite often referred to like a mustache. A lot of his decoys that he would use would have they have a black paint mark that would be painted right along that edge of that mouth. I'll have to grab one for next week so you guys can see what it looks like. But quite often that's what we do. I've gotten in the habit myself. I'll put kind of I'll mark a line again using edge of a knife, go along, cut it back, and then I can carve out away from it. And it gives that kind of that flare on that lip. I'm not going to be doing that tonight though. I don't think I might get to that point, but I don't think I will. I'll go back to this bigger one. Back and forth, one side of the, oh, I started chunking out there, so I got to roll this around. There we go. Back over this side. I'm going to come through. I'm going to do another cut down the gill to reestablish that edge of it. Same thing, I've got downward pressure on the actual wood. I'm pushing my thumb through this to kind of come down along the back side of this. That's about as far back as I have to go. I'll do it to this side now. Down in that groove, right up along the edge of that. And push through it. All good. Come back, start removing some more, wood, making it look like those gills are flared out. And as this, as the spine, as I get that going down, this break and this curve that goes around the back, as I start carving down on that, you'll lose some of that top gill plate, so it doesn't look quite as long, which can kind of look odd on these. So just know that right now, that's the way it's looking. It'll change as we go. You can see what happens. This one's gotten a little bit longer than this one. But as I keep digging at this to get rid of more of that wood, you can see I'm using that tip of this big blade again, kind of pushing it into that little area. Then I can come back and these little pieces will flake off. You see that starts to line up as I get up along that back side. Yeah, that's starting to work. I need to keep shaving off the parts of this side though. Got about 5 minutes left on the Zoom meeting. If those of you that are on that, if this cuts out. Oh, trying to chunk out right there, rotate it, come back, push through. Hey Deb, hey Al, I see you guys got back on. You're on the live now. I can feel in this area it's going to want to start to chunk out, so I'm going to have to turn this around again. I think, yep, there it goes. Yeah, it's right at that area right there where the grain changed. Right now I'm just trying to get rid of a lot of this. It's actually marks from my sanding belt that I have down along here. So I'm going to be getting rid of those, just kind of digging them away. Eventually what's going to happen is I'm going to get this to the point where I can come back in and I'll just be taking sandpaper and smoothing the entire body out. Once that happens, what you get something like this, where this body just super smooth. I think I went, I like started at, I want to say it was probably 80, and then I went to like 125 and then 250. or 225, one of the two. So up to about there, just to get it so that I had a nice smooth, um, a nice smooth blank for myself to work with. Whoops. Hey, Al, I heard you. Got about a minute and 51 seconds or something like that left on the Zoom meeting, and then it'll just cut out, and everything will be occurring on the live. So, and again, I have that Zoom meeting going at the beginning of this just so that people can maybe ask questions, or if there's kind of a show and tell moment where they want to show something, ask a question, I can have put eyes on things. Okay, I've almost gone through that entire side. Okay, now I'm on to that other side. Going less than a minute left on that Zoom, so that'll be cutting out here in a second for those of you on Zoom. Okay, I'm going to work up this side, getting rid of this all of this material that's on the side. So it just ended. The Zoom meet up just ended, so I'm just on. Let's see here, I can fill the screen now. There we go. So I can fill that screen. Now I've got. Now I'm just on the YouTube live. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to kind of roughly draw in that line for that top lip. That's kind of a nod to at least the person that I'm kind of directly my carving lineage connected to, Oscar Peterson. It puts that little lip on the top edge of this. I'm going to roll this over. I can look at the lip. I can look at where that line's coming up. Make sure it goes straight across there. Walk it back over to this side, and I should be able to draw a straight line from here up to that mark. So now looking at it when it's coming straight at you, it looks pretty equal. So I'm going to need to go up just a little bit more here on that side. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to place this at that corner again, push down, and I'm going to kind of roll this forward, and it's going to follow that line. That's where my blade is. So I'm following that line. I'm pushing down so that it's not going to move on me, and I just follow that line, and I'm rocking this blade, go right around that nose. So I went from here to the tip there. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to start here, push down. Same thing, my thumb's on the back edge of this blade. Okay, and I'm going to be pushing it down, and this is going to rock forward. I'm going to follow that line as it comes around to that nose. So now what I've done is I have a slit that goes all the way around this lip that I'm going to be able to come over onto this side And I should be able to, kind of using this tip again, I'm going to kind of push forward, and I should be able to start getting down to that cut, and it's going to create a difference in how I have lip. You can see as I'm going around this, I'm starting to develop that edge of that lip, that top lip. And I'm also going to be, I'm almost cutting off, and I'm going to just kind of draw on it. I don't need this to follow it, but it's almost like I'm going to be cutting it off here, just down just a little bit, so that there's a little bit more of a difference between the front of that lip and the back as well. So there's going to be that kind of a change that you can see right here. It's not going to be huge. Use one of these smaller blades for a little bit. Not quite as big. I'm cutting down. I'm hitting that rocked in line that I put around. And you can see that I've made a little bit of a difference in that lip between the nose where that lip hits. I'm just going to kind of work that right around this edge. So I've started to create an actual lip on the edge of that. I'm going to continue to smooth out that area. I'm taking little tiny bites of wood with this blade. And again, this is a flex cut is what I'm using right now. There's a lot of different blades like this that you can purchase from different outlets for carving utensils. It doesn't have to be a flex cut. A lot of people will actually make similar knives homemade out of leftover or old bandsaw blades. They'll cut those down, and then they'll temper them. Reheat them and temper them after they've cut them out, and they've got the blade they want. That way, the blade, the entire blade, the handle, and everything's theirs. That works for some people. I haven't made one yet. I probably should. I'm smoothing out this area right here around this cheek of this, or the kind of, I guess it would be the under its nose. That area I'm digging out just a little bit. But again, it kind of, it makes that lip a little bit more pronounced for me. And again, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. This is just the way I've done it. And this is, again, it's kind of a nod to my teacher's teacher, Oscar Peterson. Once I get into starting to sand this down, what will happen is that lip will not have such a sharp, harsh edge on it like it does right now. It'll come down, and it'll actually it'll be a more gentle curve in there. And what'll happen after that, when I paint it, that's when you get that mustache. That's a nod to Oscar Peterson, because his work, a lot of his work, and you can see it was passed on to Al Nelson in his work as well. They quite often have that upper lip, that mustache. I'm using a little bit smaller knife right now. As you can see, it's not that big fixed knife that I've been using. It's helping me to do a little bit more of this kind of detailed work, smaller cuts, a little bit more control over the knife. Um, I'm not taking off as much material as I was. Um, it helps me to kind of round off the sides of this face a little bit more. And again, you should be, after you get a good session of carving in, one of the first things that I personally will do is I will come back and I will actually start to I'll strop and polish up all my blades to make sure that they're all good and ready to go for my next go around when that time comes. I'll switch back to this just for a second. I still have some of that kind of those marks from my sanding belt down along this area. I'm going to use this bigger one to try and get rid of some of that. And basically, I'm taking it, putting it down. I catch a little bit of the chatter that's there. This blade again, really sharp. Put it down there. Put my thumb here, and I can rock and push at the same time, and that's going to get me that nice little curl like that. And that's getting rid of those marks that are there. So I'm trying to get that down, and it's not smooth. It kind of it has like little marks, carve marks in it, but those are real easy to get rid of when you start using the sanding paper. So it just kind of helps to jump start that entire process. Rocked it around. I'm getting this other side. Just there was a little bit more left of that. Those chatter marks from the sanding belt. Working down this side, trying to get that side all equaled up. So both sides look the same. Looks like I need to get a little bit more off of this side, a little bit more up here. Got to remember to put my phone on silent. Nice hobby to have when you got some quiet time. It's peaceful. Quite often, if I typically don't do it necessarily in my basement. I mean, during the winter months I do, but I like during the spring and the summer and those fall months. I like being out in my garage working on it. Um, and also, I work on it up at my job at the cemetery. It's just a nice way to kind of pass the time. For me, I don't have to think a great deal. Just kind of start carving. There we go. Oh, this nose looks like it's a little bit bulbous for me. I'm going to take a little bit off that tip, I think. A little bit more. Roll that out. I'm not sure what this is going to be. This almost looks like it might want to be a trout. I probably should have started with some type of a sucker. You can see there's kind of a difference. It's not necessarily a difference in all that much. It's just how the head is done. One has the mouth, one doesn't have the mouth. When you're looking at them, but okay. Trying to get rid of the marks, the sanding belt marks that are on the cheeks and the gill plate. I'm going to carve down into that a little bit more. Give it more flared looking gills. And again, I appreciate anyone that's showed up or is taking a moment out of their evening to pay attention to this for a sec. I've got looks like about 8 minutes left or so before I'm going to be done for the evening. I went from 7 to 8 this evening. I had something going on earlier that I had to go to. I couldn't miss. So I pushed this along to a little bit different time this week, but hopefully that won't happen again. If I set this aside now, I know that this is my day, and any appointments I make in the future, they aren't going to happen on Tuesday nights. I have to make the other side gill. I'm going to have to equal those out here in a sec. I'm going to put this blade down, which is a little bit shorter one. I'm going to use this one. It's a little bit longer, and the cutting point goes out a little bit farther too. So it's going to allow me a little bit more control here doing this other side of this fish and its gill on that side as I try to equal them out to the other side. You can see those are falling off. I'm getting into that cut. Looks like I still need to get a little bit more. And again, as I round those up, those gills will kind of disappear. They won't be riding so far up the head. They shouldn't. But but that'll come as I start to work this backside down. Take some more wood off this this underside of this tail. This tail right now, it looks like it's a bit thick, so I'm going to have to make that a little bit thinner. Um, Once you start to weight these, you find that the more wood you have in this back end, the more likely it is to want to float up. So when they're floating, you want them to float level, so that you want them to look like this when they're floating in the lake. As you're going, you don't want them tipping up, or you don't want them tipping down. You want them to be perfectly level as they swim. So a lot of times I have found that I tend to leave too much in here when I start putting lead in, and I end up having to come back and shave off some more wood in the back um, to do it correctly. Uh, I don't want to necessarily overload it with lead, putting more lead into the tail. I try not to do that. Um, so a lot of times I try to make this a little bit thinner right through here. So here we go. So I'm not only rounding this off on the bottom, so it's becoming smoother through here, but also I am coming through and I'm shaving off parts to these sides. So it's going to become thinner in that way as well. I have found to help that, just the thinness of it, and losing some of that rigidity of the wood and having thick wood back there, because when pike hit a decoy, quite often they mean it. They can actually snap the tails off these things when they hit them. So what I've started doing, um, thanks to some suggestions of people this year at the Great Lakes Decoy uh, meetup we had there in Cadillac. I've been bathing mine in super glue, basically, and it seeps into that wood, and it really makes a difference. It's a stronger presentation for that wood. So I got about 2 minutes left, and I guess in that 2 minutes, I'd like to thank again. I have some people that have shown up today, and I appreciate that a great deal. Um, and those of you that are having to watch us because you're still at work or whatever may be the case, I know I've had some people saying that they're not able to make it, but they have been watching it after the fact. Thank you, and I appreciate it. Make sure, if you can, to subscribe to um, my YouTube page. I would suggest also um, subscribing. Or not subscribing, just joining me on my Facebook page. I put a lot of information on there about things that are happening with the decoy world, as well as my YouTube channels or other things that I might have gotten involved in. Um, and it also is a place where I will let people know if something's come up, kind of like I did tonight. Some of you have joined, and I appreciate that again. But this was supposed to go off at 6 o'clock, uh, but wasn't able to make it until 7. So thanks again for readjusting schedules and actually showing up uh, to be here with me. If there's any questions, I'll have about a minute right now if anyone wants to type anything or say anything. If you need my help or need to ask questions, go to my go to either my Facebook, join me there, friend me on Facebook, and you can get information there, or you can get it from the YouTube channel. So again, thank you very much for your support this evening, and I hope that you guys are learning something and kind of taking little tiny nuggets of wisdom that I might be dropping along the way. So I thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening.